a little bit of the translation. So basically, for me, I use 3 translations in my research. I use Arbery's, I use Bakhtir, and I use Abdul Halim. I will talk a little bit because we don't have that much of time unless you guys are free. Basically, I chose those 3 translations because one is really old, one is in the beginning of the 2000s, and then one is really recent. So the first one is The Quran Interpreted by Arthur J. Arbery in 1955. Basically, this translation is by Arbery. He is okay. Thank you. So basically, Arbery has a Arbery is an assistant professor of Arabic. He studied Arabic, and he is very he's considered one of his translation is considered one of the best translations, actually, regardless to the fact that it used an archaic language, and regardless to the fact that it used similar to the Quran style, which is a word-for-word translation. The reason why it's regarded as one of the best translations, because back at that time, it was very weird for someone to actually take that step, especially if they're not Arab or understanding that language. Arbery did study Arabic, and he is assistant professor of Arabic. He spent a lot of time in the Arab world, and he understood the Quran very well. And in his Quran, the interpreted version, he has an introduction, and in the introduction, he states that this is an interpretation of the Quran. Arabs, or sorry, not Arabs, Muslims who are trying to understand the Quran, they should try to learn Arabic so they can actually read the Arabic version and understand it. But a lot of people actually praised this his translation. And then we move into a very slightly thing that I noticed in the Quran Interpreted is basically it's very vague. I didn't like it personally because I'm not talking about the language, I'm talking about the organization and the layout. We all know that, yes, I think someone has a question. We can do questions in afterwards if you don't mind. Yeah, so basically, in the layout of the Quran, in Arbery's translation, he has the numbers of the surah, and then it's one number. Like we know that in the Quran, verses has different numbers. So he has number, like let's say number 1, and then all the way till number 5, and then number 5. So you have the other surahs in the middle, but they're not numbered. So you kind of get lost in the middle looking for the right surah. That's number 1. Number 2, the idea that basically, thank you very much, Abdullah. So basically, we have a problem when it comes down to understanding which verse you are addressing. And all that to the side, we have a problem with actually the archaic language used, because he uses, I'll show you some examples in a little bit, because he uses a literal translation. So sometimes when you look at it, it's archaic language. It's very weird in structure to English speakers. Like if I'm reading it in Arabic, like I know the Quran verse in Arabic, so when I read it in English, I'll be like, yeah, okay, this is the one. But when I'm a native speaker of English, I don't know Arabic, I don't know the Quran, and I just read it for like the first time, I will say, oh, I don't understand anything. I don't know what is this. So that's my only issue with the Quran Interpreted. It's very difficult to deal with, and that's what I noticed. However, when we go to the Quran, a new translation by Muhammad Abdul Halim in 2004, I personally love it for more than one reason. First reason, you have the surah, and then you have each verse which is with its number. And then if you have a word like tayammum, wudu, hajj, I don't know, any weird, not weird, sorry, like any culture related term, we have it in a footnote with an explanation. And the reason when Abdul Halim was asked, I wish I can see the quote, I don't think I have it on me, but Abdul Halim actually says that the reason why I attempted to do this translation in contemporary English rather than and modern English rather than the normal archaic language that most people use because it's holy and religious translation, is because of the fact that a lot of young people, the young generation, they feel frustrated because they cannot understand the Quran. They're Muslims, they're brought up in different cultures, different language, and they do not understand Arabic. They try to read the Quran. It's very archaic in language in the translations available. It's very weird in structure. The style is very weird. It does not make sense when you read it. So they felt frustrated and they demanded that there is a new translation with a modern language that we can understand, as in the young generation. And when you have a look at Abdul Halim's translation, it is indeed very amazing. It actually takes the meaning and puts it right there, because even us Arabs, when we read the Quran, there is a lot of things that we do not understand. So what he does is basically understand the meaning and then translate it into English, a very easy, simple language, and using the standard English, the given norms of the English language, as in structure-wise, the style, and so on. Unlike others who try to imitate the Arabic style, and then you have a gap and loss in the meaning. And then we have Abdullah, the Holy Quran, Abdullah Yusuf Ali, which Dr. Moomin will talk about in a little bit because I did not use this translation. And then we have the Sublime Quran by Layla Bakhtir in 2007. This version of the Quran was very controversial, and the reason why is because first of all, it was done by a woman, and second of all, she's a feminist. So and she was an American, half American, half Iranian. So a lot of people said, is she really good enough to translate the Quran? Especially that, unlike Arbi, she did not study Arabic as a degree. She mainly took it as a minor degree in the university in Tehran. But the reason why a lot of people don't like Bakhtir's specific version of the Quran, although I honestly see a lot of good aspects in it, but I think it needs editing and a little bit of work to be done on it with the help of someone who's an expert in Arabic, in Islam, and in the Holy Quran, of course. The problem with Bakhtir's translation is basically she tries to simplify it in a way to make it more acceptable in other cultures and in the New World. For example, words like al-kafir, we do know that al-kafir is unbeliever, people who do not believe. Al-kafir is someone who is not Muslim. So basically, that's how most translations refer to it. However, Bakhtir only translated kafir into ungrateful. And here, a lot of people argued that this is not the right translation, because you're not really ungrateful. It can be a Muslim who is just ungrateful for God, but you're just missing the meaning, the whole meaning of the word. Ungrateful is not someone, al-kafir is not just someone who is ungrateful for whatever they have. It's basically someone who is non-Muslim. So you're changing the whole meaning of the sentence, and that's just not acceptable. Another issue is Bakhtir is a feminist, so a lot of her personal life actually affected the text itself. So we know that there is an ayah in the Quran which basically says if there is a situation between a man and a woman, he can hit her. A lot of people translated it into slightly hit, or like, just like do this. I don't know how, like, people translated it differently. People translated it like hit. Some people translated it like a small tap. And a lot of people just translated it differently, but it was still in the main point of hit. However, in Bakhtir's translation, it was go away, which is also, it can have a similar meaning, like leave them, but it's still, in a way, it changes the meaning upon whatever she believes. And we are back again to the point of, as a translator, I cannot have my beliefs or my personal thoughts affect the text that I'm translating, because that's again being faithful to the text itself. I believe we're going to the example, so I will stop sharing so Dr. Moomin can share, because that's his examples, and then after that I will have my examples, and after that we'll have questions and discussions. So I'm sorry for taking so long. Dr. Moomin, you can start sharing your slides, please.
1 second. Thank you, Dr. Asma.
You're welcome.
Is it this one here? I think I don't know if you keep working the same.
Do you want me to share it and then I move it for you?
No, it's okay. It's okay. No, it's okay. Fine. It's fine now. And we'll go back to. Okay. I think only 2 pages or 3 pages. So if you could,
a couple more.
Yeah. Yeah. It's my.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Before let's first talk about this one. I think you talk about all of them. Or this, I want to mention something regarding to this to Abdullah Yusuf Ali. This person or his translation of the Holy Quran, by most scholars or people who are working in the field, he is considered as his translation or the Quran considered as the authority of the translation of the Quran. So يعتبر هو الحجة. It's they say it's the best one. Okay, they say it's the best translation. But because I use this translation, I think the reason first, he's a Muslim and he's an English. He's Indian, I guess. This one in 1930, not in 2000, but the first version was in 1937 or 37, I think. Yeah. So this person, he's a Muslim, and originally he's an Indian, and he was born in India, and he, like, let's say he's native speaker in English and both Arabic. It's not in both, but his English background, you know, he was born maybe in a family who are their first language is English or in the area, and also his Arabic as a Muslim, who was born as a Muslim. So these 2 things help him much to work on this. So this is, let's say, culture helped him, and yeah. So let's talk about the rhetorical language, الميتافور, الاستعارة. So we talk about استعارة. But الاستعارة that we talk about, استعارة, this term as الاستعارة can refer, as a metaphor, can refer to either الاستعارة in itself in Arabic, or also to the المزاج, يعني اللغة المزاجية بشكل عام. يعني in English it can refer when you say مزاج, it can has wider, yes. بالنسبة لأنواع الاستعارة, types of metaphor in English, I say something like it depends on the how to in the Quran, for example, we have some examples. They call them animalizing metaphor, humanizing metaphor. يعني لو شبهنا شخص اللي هو personification, so شبهنا شيء بشخص, فهنا نسموه فيه they call it humanizing. Also we can call it as a animalizing metaphor. Okay. Which يعني واخفض لهما جناح الذل من الرحمة. So there is so understanding the source text and rendering source text. Let's now talk about this one. When we come, for example, to translate the metaphor in general, you know, in the Quran, this is one example, because the topic today is about the translation of the Quran. So let us take one part, which is translation of metaphor. For example, when you come to this translation, okay, we before we translate, there is this تفسير القرآن. Its interpretation is called الكشاف عن حقائق غوامض التنزيل وعيون الأقاويل في وجه التأويل. This is الزمخشري. Also maybe in 1087 or something like يعني في بداية الألفية الأولى، هو يعني قديم جدا أو صار. Yeah. So this one الزمخشري. If you it's only two يعني أعتقد مجلدين أو 3 فقط كتاب الزمخشري، يعني فيه مجلدين، فيه اللي 5 maximum على حسب العدد. فالزمخشري هذا it's very أكثر كتاب كان يهتم. This is the most one who is interested in metaphoric language or let's say rhetoric language in the Quran. يعني معظم التفاسير الأخرى تعطي فقط المعنى أو غيرها، ولكن الزمخشري is more interested in the rhetorical language. Then the other one تفسير التحرير والتنوير. So التحرير والتنوير only the explanation, because the language that الزمخشري using, it's very difficult. يعني even some Arabic يعني scholars only can understand his language. يعني مستوى اللغة عند الزمخشري مستوى عالي جدا، فصعب. فتونسي اسمه الله يرحمه اسمه طاهر بن عاشور in 1984 he explained or in I think it's 17 أعتقد 17 مجلد شرح فيها فقط اسمها التحرير to discuss or to explain الكشاف للزمخشري. Okay, so this is the first step. You need to read Zamakhshari, but you can't understand because you want to see the source text, the source language of the metaphorical. So you should go to, for example, to التحرير التنوير طاهر بن عاشور. Then later there is some references very good in this regard, like البيان في القرآن الكريم. By the way, Dr. Asma, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Hello. Hello.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, that's fine. So, but because what happened, some يعني بعض الناس تعرفون طبعا الكريتيسيزم اللي يطلع في كل علم يقولون there is no metaphor in the Quran. يعني لا يوجد مزاج في القرآن. القرآن كله لغة حقيقية. هم نظروا لها برؤية أخرى. They look from different viewpoint or point of view. Okay, that إن القرآن حقيقي لا يوجد. يعني كانوا يعني يعني معارضين لفكرة أن القرآن يوجد فيه مزاج أو غيرها. They say that only لغة القرآن لا يوجد فيها مزاج أو أوكي. فهنا بعض الكتب التي ناقشت rhetorical language in the Holy Quran، يعني الميتافور أو المزاج بشكل عام. فاللغة هنا اسمه القرآن والصورة البيانية، أيضا البيان في ضوء أساليب القرآن. They are very important books if you'd like to. So look at this. If I want to do translation, not on whole Quran or only the metaphor or the metaphorical language اللي هو بشكل عام، سواء البلاغة بشكل عام اللي هي البيان، الاستعارة أو التشبيه أو الكناية، كل هذه نذهب we pass through different stages. يعني it's not easy. First of all, you need to check الكشاف, then الزمخشري, then go study some books like these. Okay. Also, you have to go to Ibn Kathir and other يعني حتى تنقل المعنى. يعني there is it's a bit complicated process. Okay. So this is, let's say for example أمثلة ترجمة استعارة من القرآن الكريم. النقل first نقل المعنى مع الحفاظ على الصورة الجمالية. Let's say the first وتركنا بعضهم يومئذ يموج في بعض ونفخ في الصور فجمعناهم جمعا. Okay, so نفخ for example تركنا بعض يومئذ يموج في بعض. يموج هي تشبيه، نشبه الله سبحانه وتعالى يشبه الناس من كثرتهم إلى اليموج. فهنا the first one اللي هو Arbery اللي دكتورة أسماء just talking about this person, he said that surging on one another. Others say like waves. They use like هنا كان فيها استعمال تشبيه استعمال التشبيه. ف this way both these translators هو علي يوسف عبد الله يوسف علي and عبد الحليم, both of them let's say use it simile to translate. يعني there is a good thing here for the translation reader of the translation of the Quran, يعني still can see some aesthetic value. فهنا we can say they combine semantic translation and communicative translation that Dr. Asma talked about them. فهنا طبعا this time if you talk about استعارة this one like Peter Newmark talk about 8 different methods how to translate metaphor in English. So let us say these people translate one of them into this, use the fourth procedure. هذه عند Peter Newmark 1988. Yeah. This is the fourth or number 4. He said that metaphor can be translated into simile. Okay, next one, the other example. So نقل المعنى المقصود بدون الصورة الجمالية. Here they only translate وفي عاد إذا أرسلنا عليهم الريح العقيم. ريح عقيم. أوكي تعرفون العقيم ده بارين هو العقيم يعني الذي لا ينجب أولاد. فهنا الريح مؤنث. هنا the first one the weathering wind, devastating wind, destroying wind. All of them gave the render the meaning. نقلوا المعنى المقصود للقرآن ولكن there is something missed اللي هو الاستاتيك فاليو القيمة الجمالية في النص ضاعت. فهنا you can say only semantic translation is achieved. So this is only one example of the Quran translation which is a Quran translation which is metaphor, and because we need to decide what we want to translate. We need to translate the whole Quran or one verse, or for example only the metaphorical language, only the meaning. So this the aim of the in the translation يعني هذه أشياء بدائية كلكم تعرفوها. The translation, the main basics of translation, you need to decide what's يعني الجمهور what's your text, ما هو النص، نوعية النص، هل هو نص علمي، هل هو أدبي، and من المتلقي, who's the receptor, okay, who's the receptor. And so it depends. If you want to translate the Quran and just to give it to anyone, like, so you don't need to you don't need to look too much at these البلاغة for example. ولكن البلاغة لها أمور أخرى طبعا تعطي aesthetic value وكذا. Okay. فهذا غير what I'm talking about. I'm not criticizing what's written about the Quran. No. يعني هذا is a great job، يعني عمل عظيم. نحن هنا لا ننتقد ولكن نحاول نعطي فكرة نقد أدبي له أو فكرة بحيث just to fill the gap, and people need to work on this. Okay. Yes, Dr. Asma. Right, I will stop the share now, and you can.
Okay. So now I'm sharing. I'll go into.
I don't see the visuals can see.
Sorry, I can see.
Let me just. Someone is not muted. Let me mute someone. Okay. Okay. Can you see the screen, Dr. Momin?
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah. All right. Cool. Okay. So now that we're done with Dr. Momin's example, which were basically about translating metaphors, in the problem with translating metaphors, my research was more about translating near synonyms in the Quran that some people don't even think they exist. Like a lot of people argue that synonyms are synonyms. There is no such thing as near synonyms. However, near synonyms are actually different because unlike synonyms, near synonyms are those words that actually have the same meaning but different connotation. So they have the same meaning in the dictionary, but they can connote different meanings. For example, here we have قالوا أضغاث أحلام. Ahlam is a dream, And when we see the other surah, يا أيها الملأ أفتوني في رؤياي, which is also a dream. However, the connotation of dream in the first the translation of the first ayah can be a dream. However, in the second ayah can be a vision. Why? Because ahlam can be understood in Arabic as just a dream, but ru'ya or the ru'ya can be understood or translated and can be explained as a kind of a dream that actually might come true, or that can come true, or something like that. And that's the reason why we have near synonyms in the Quran, and they're very popular, especially in the Quran. And that's why we have a sentence of a lot of synonyms, and people sometimes skip them and use only one item because they think that they mean the same thing, but they do not mean the same thing. On the other hand, a lot of people have synonyms that are throughout the Quran, like الجسد, الجسم, الخوف, الخشية, and they translate them all using one word, and that's where the loss of meaning occur, basically. So I'll keep this short and I'll go to the first example. The first example is the word al-matar against the word al-qayth. Al-qayth comes from the stem qawatha, which is basically to save. And in the Quran, the meaning of al-qayth is basically the rain that comes to help, to save lives after a drought or something. However, al-matar is either the normal rain, or it comes as a punishment, because matar comes from the stem amtara, which is basically to cause punishment, or to I forgot the word, to cause destruction, basically. So so that's the difference between al-matar and al-qayth. Al-matar is just a normal rain, or the rain that comes with punishment. Al-qayth is the good rain, the pain that comes with prosperity, the rain that comes to solve a lot of problems after years or years of starvation and drought and dryness in the climate. So the first example using الغيث is وهو الذي ينزل الغيث من بعد ما قنطوا وينشر رحمته وهو الولي الحميد. Please excuse my Arabic pronunciation. The first translation by Arbery is using, as he said, and it is he who sends down the rain after they have despaired. So basically here we see that the symbol word used is rain. However, Arbery tried to explain it in a way saying despaired. I know that the word is already there, بعد ما قنطوا. However, in the overall meaning of the sentence, you would understand that this rain came after years and years of despair. However, the real meaning of al-qayth is not rain. It's rain that comes with good to the people, basically, and that's why a lot of people translated it differently, like Bakhtir. And that's why I said I like Bakhtir translation, because she did actually create some weird terminology that explained near synonyms and specifically. For example, her translation says, and he it is who sends plenteous rain water after they have despaired, which means plenty of water. So basically she in a way did explain that this rain is the rain that comes after a long time, and it's the rain that comes to help people, and not just any kind of rain, which is basically what al-qayth means. In Abdul Halim's translation, it is he who sends relief through rain after they have lost hope. So again, attempting to translate the sentence in a way to make it understandable and shed light on the word that is al-qayth, and make it clear that this rain came after a long period of time, yet still not really differentiating the word rain from al-matar al-qayth. It's still the same word used, as we can see in the other example here, which is al-matar. We have وَأَمْطَرْنَا عَلَيْهِمْ مَطَرًا فَسَاءَ مَطَرَ الْمُنذِرِينَ. So we have the first translation by Arbery, and we rained on them a rain, and evil indeed is the rain of them that are warned. So basically we have here the description evil. I would like first to talk about the style. Like when you read, and we rained on them a rain, that is totally not acceptable in English, and it's a little bit archaic, it's a little bit weird and awkward structure that we see in English. And that's again when we said that Arbery tried to do a literal translation but still carry the same meaning, and that's why he said evil rain to describe the rain and make people understand that this rain came to destruct the land or the place because it was a punishment from God. But still we see the word rain standing isolated by itself, so there was not use of another term, unlike Bakhtir. In Abdul Halim's translation, and poured a rain of destruction down upon them. How dreadful that rain was for those who had been forewarned. I love Abdul Halim's translation here because the rain of destructions, which is basically connotes the same meaning that we actually saw with the Quran, which is basically that rain of destruction. So he is clearly saying that the rain came to destruct the people or the land that of the people who were warned and did not follow, or something like that. And then we have the last example by Bakhtir, and we rain on them a rain. How evil was the rain to the ones who are warned. We see still the linguistic beauty in this, regardless to whether it's weird in the English language or not. We do see that there are actually different attempts to translate the text within its beauty as well as its meaning. And there are different attempts back again to the people's approach, the translator approach, to the own understanding of the text. Like, how do I understand it? Maybe different from how Moments understand it. And then how do I think of the best way to translate it or to interpret it into the other language? In a way, also the other part, the receiving part, the audience, the target text, how do they receive it? As for me, I loved Abdul Halim's translation, and the rain of destructions actually carry a very solid meaning that can actually carry the straightforward meaning and the way that it was intended in the Quran itself. And then we go into another example, and which is qatala and qutila. So basically the meaning, the difference is qutila is to kill, to kill someone. Qatala is to fight for someone's right, or to fight for God, to fight for a purpose and not just kill for a random purpose. We see here a very distinguished thing that happened with Arbery's translation. Arbery translated the phrase into slay. I mean the word qatala into slay. He uses the word slay, which carries a little bit violent meaning. However, Abdul Halim and Bakhtir translated it into simply kill. So we see فَإِنْ قَاتَلُوكُمْ فَاقْتُلُوهُمْ, as in if they attack you, then you can attack them or kill them. So we see Arbery saying if they fight you, slay them instead of kill them, which is in a way very violent, and it carries a very violent connotation in English rather than in any other language. And then we have if they do fight you, kill them, which is to me the appropriate translation, because if they fight you, then you kill them, and that's about it. You don't, or maybe fight them back, but you don't use slay them. It's because it carries a lot of negative connotation to me. And finally, Bakhtir's, and many a prophet has there been whom along with him many have. Oh, sorry, that's a wrong translation actually. I'm sorry for that. I apologize. I think I missed the wrong one. I will make sure to, yeah, I'm sorry. I don't want to get it. I have the book, but I don't want to waste time and get it. I'm sorry. I apologize for not writing Bakhtir's right translation. Okay. The other example, which is qatala وَمَنْ قَتَلَ مُؤْمِنًا خَطَأً فَتَحْرِيرُ رَقَبَةٍ, which is basically killed. Qatala is to kill someone. And when we say kill, it's basically kill without really the intention of killing, or simply kill but not not for a purpose, like in qatala, to fight for someone's right or for someone's life. And again, we see Arbery and how he translated it. It belongs not to a believer to slay a believer, except it by error. So slay, again, here comes the negative connotation, which is basically to kill someone, and not just kill, but slay them. I feel like it's a little bit too much to use the word slay. Abdul Halim's translation: never should a believer kill another believer except by mistake. Very clear, very straightforward, and the use of the word kill, it's exactly the right word to use, actually. And then we see never should a believer kill another believer, Bakhtiars, and it has not been for one who believes to kill one unless by error. So again, we see that most translators used the word, the word kill. However, we have Arbery who chose slay, which is a little bit too much. And I see that you guys saying, someone said slay would be more appropriate, but I do disagree. Maybe we can have that in the discussion later on to discuss that, because a slay it carries a lot of bad connotation. It comes with violent, and I do believe the Islamic nature is not violent. It clearly says kill them if they fight you. So you can kill them, but you don't have to, have a very negative connotation to it. And perhaps that's why many of the translations show a bad aspect of the Quran rather than the right aspect. We do have other examples, but I will not go into details about those examples. I'll just roughly go through them because we're way over time. I apologize for that. We do have zawjuhu and imra'atuhu, which basically the difference in meaning between those two is zawjuhu is someone who is equal in religion and age, and it's part of a pair. However, imra'atuhu can be a wife but is not a believer. Only Bakhtir translated both near synonyms differently. She translated zawjuhu into a wife, imra'atuhu into a spouse. Abdul Halim and Arbery translated both as in wife. Al-khawf and al-khashya, we know that al-khawf is just being afraid of something or scared of something. However, al-khashya is the last degree of being scared, and it's the deepest one of them all. It's basically to be so scared that you're shivering, and most of the time al-khashya is used to associated with God, to be afraid of God, and most of the time it was translated into the fear of, or the being scared of, rather than Abdul Halim's translation, which I believe translated it as tremble and awe, and being of awe, as in very scared. And then we go into the last example, which is al-jasad and al-jism. Al-jism. Al-jasad is basically the body without a soul, and al-jism is the living human body. So we do have a big difference between the two. So again, al-jasad is a human's body with no soul. Al-jism is a human's body within the soul, so a living human body. Unfortunately, both were translated by both. 1 minute so I can give you the right translation for it. I apologize for this. 1 minute. Yes. So we have Arbery translating it both into body. Both cases, al-jasad and al-jism was translated into the body. Abdul Halim translated each word when it comes to al-jasad differently. Sometimes it was body, sometimes it was shape, sometimes it was a skeleton, sometimes it was the image. So again, it depends basically. Basically, Abdul Halim, what he did is he translated each word according to the context that word existed in. So if it was in a context that this jasad is dead, he did use shape or skeleton or an image. However, when it comes to al-jism, he only used the appearance and the stature, and that's about it. We have Bakhtir, finally, who used body when it comes down to al-jasad, which is the body with no soul. And then she used for al-jism, physique, and that's how she translated it. Again, I realized in my explanation and in my reading and research that Bakhtir, when she sees two different words, especially near synonyms, she never, very rarely, she translates both into the same meaning. Even if it's the same word, but they are synonyms in English, she always does change them and does them in synonyms, basically. Yes, the word khashya does indicate a lot of respect, a lot of, like I said, it's the last degree of fear. It's not just being afraid of something, but it's being afraid and being in a very deep respect and in love, and it's basically a mixture of emotions together. If you agree, Dr. Momin, right?
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah. I'm following some comments here. So, Dr. Asma, before you start the discussion, because I've already missed the prayer and the iftar 15 minutes ago about.
Oh my God, I'm so sorry. You can go.
No worry. Because we think that it's just 1 hour. It's 1 hour and a half now.
I know. I apologize for that.
No worries. That's fine. We enjoy that. So now I will leave you now, okay? And you can start the discussion. So thank you very much. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much for being here, Dr. Momin. I will still be here if anyone have any questions or we can discuss anything. Feel free to. Okay. Thank you very much, Dr. Momin. Maybe we'll.
You're welcome. So I actually enjoyed what you have been discussing, Dr. Asma, and some comments of the people here there.
Yeah, I can see the comments. They're pretty
Abdullah and Tahani and some of them. Yeah. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you, Dr. Momin. So I'm still here. If anyone has any questions, you're more than welcome to ask if someone wants to actually discuss that. Thank you very much for being here. It's really amazing. Hajar, I will unmute you so you can speak. Go ahead.
Assalamu alaikum.